¿A dónde está papi? 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 ¿A dónde está papi?
Welcome to the Monday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Monday. Man, I really hope something monumental didn't happen this weekend. I really hope something unprecedented. Well, not exactly unprecedented. I really hope nothing interesting happened this weekend. Because, man, Quad Bennett, how's it going? Welcome, Derry Bennett, Michael Hassler, Heat, Kamikaze and Abon, welcome everybody. Yeah, nothing of consequence happened this weekend, right? Everything's all good. No, nothing. All right, folks. Oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about. So, man, where do we even begin? Like, what exactly is there to say? But I have a feeling stuff's about to get interesting. That's one way of putting it. RNC week, yep, fascism week, more like it, and I agree. I was watching the RNC and what a cult. Yeah, 100%. The GOP is a cult. So, where do we begin? But at this point, everybody, I'm sure, is aware of what happened in Pennsylvania, and at this point, this is what we know. We know that it was. We know that it was definitely a assassination attempt on the former president. We know that one person died, 2 people gravely injured. We know that they got the shooter. We know that the shooter made like one contribution to some pack. I can't exactly pinpoint what that pack was, because I keep seeing a bunch of contradictory reports. But anyways, the point being is that he donated to one pack. He was a registered Republican. The only time he did vote, he voted Republican. And that's basically where we're at. Something thoughts and prayers. JD Vance, yes, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. There's just a lot that happened within the past like 72 hours, I want to say. There's been a lot of misinformation regarding the assassination attempt. I don't know, like how people got to the conclusion that this was somehow staged. But I've seen a lot of that go around. There's no evidence of that. There's no evidence of this being staged. We do know that this guy who did it, we know that the guy who did it was a registered Republican, so the motivations are... They're not known, but if you want to speculate, I feel like there's several... There's several paths. I think the one that makes sense the most would be that he was trying to perhaps accelerate something. I mean, like, that's the only thing I can think of. All my prayers do. I learned a lot about sniper vantage points over the weekend. Yeah, we all became ballistic experts within the past 72 hours. I've seen a lot of speculation about like people saying that the Secret Service let this happen. I don't think so. Okay. Um I don't know who messed up, but I feel like a lot of people messed up, or maybe, or I don't know. The Secret Service is blaming local law enforcement for not um covering the vantage point, the for not covering the vantage point outside the venue. But like I don't know. It's just like it's incompetence, I guess, all around, as to how that happened. Now, the thoughts, in my opinion, based on what I've seen, based on the reactions, um, is hey, maybe, this is a case of reaping what you sow. Like, keep in mind that this guy, Donald Trump, has been inciting violence since day one. Okay, Donald Trump has been inciting violence since day one, since literally he began campaigning in 2015. Okay, talking about how he would pay the legal fees uh, of his cult members, insinuating that, like, counter protesters would be leaving out on stretchers back in the day. I'm paraphrasing, but something to that effect. This has been going on since the beginning, and now all of a sudden, we're all of a sudden very keen on civility, which is amazing. It's mind blowing. I've seen a lot of people try to blame this on some, well, the usual suspects, like your Dave Rubens, like your Dave Rubens and Tim Pools, trying to blame this on the left. No, no, no. This was a registered Republican who did this. Why? I have no idea. Why would this guy do it? Because, like, obviously this is politically motivated, right? It has to be. You are specifically targeted a political figure. So, like, by nature, this is definitely political. The why, I have no idea. The only thing that can kind of make sense is that the person who did it might have felt like this would be might have been to accelerate this. Violence sucks, but not gonna say glad you're okay, because he wouldn't care if that happened to somebody else, right? Like, if this case in point, what was Trump's reaction to Nancy Pelosi's husband being attacked? What was his reaction? What was because obviously the target was Nancy Pelosi, but what was his reaction to it? I saw Marge was trying to blame Biden and the blonde one too. Yep. And, like, this also falls pretty flat because according to conservatives, the president has total immunity. So why even bring that point up? You guys made that bed. Now lay in it. Like, why would that even be brought up? Like, if you want to go down that road, if Biden did it, okay, what would it matter? It's completely and totally legal. He asked if he was doing okay and chuckled. Sounds about right. Anyways, there's a lot of misinformation, and the reality is we don't know much past that. Sickle me pink, welcome. The reality is we don't know much other than it happened. The guy that was responsible for it allegedly was a registered Republican, and the motivations are still unknown. Let's get to some of these reactions. First, we'll go over Biden's statement.
We're neighbors, we're friends, co-workers, citizens, and most importantly, we're fellow Americans. We must stand together. Yesterday's shooting at Donald Trump's rally in Pennsylvania calls on all of us to take a step back. Take stock of where we are, how we go forward from here. Thankfully, former Trump is not seriously injured. I spoke with him last night. I'm grateful.
Here's a question. How come both sides... How come this is being perceived as a unilateral, like, hey, everybody has to, like, take it down a notch when it's only one side? When it's literally one side. Oh, right, my disclaimers. Yes, join the Discord, folks. Join the Discord. Continue liking the stream on the YouTube, thank you, and subscribe, do all the awesome stuff. Consider checking out the merch store. I appreciate it.
He's doing well, and Jill and I keep him and his family in our prayers. We also extend our deepest condolences to the family of the victims who was killed. Corey was a husband, a father, a volunteer firefighter, a hero, sheltering his family from those bullets. We should all hold his family and all those injured in our prayers.
Yeah, but make sure you don't check that guy's social media account.
Earlier today, I spoke about an ongoing investigation. We do not know the motive of the shooter yet. We don't know his opinions or affiliations. We don't know whether he had help or support.
Wait, we know he was a registered Republican.
Or if he communicated with anyone else. Law enforcement professionals...
Wait, this was yesterday. So I don't know if you knew that at the time.
As I speak, are investigating those questions. Tonight, I want to speak to what we do know. A former...
Come on.
President was shot. An American citizen killed while simply exercising his freedom to support the candidate of his choosing. We cannot, we must not go down this road in America. We've traveled it before throughout our history. Violence has never been the answer. Whether it's with members of Congress of both parties being targeted and shot, or a violent mob attacking the Capitol on January 6th, or a brutal attack on the spouse of former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi.
Damn, that sounds like only one side. Those events that he's talking about all came from one side. Fascinating. Sure beats waiting a carrier pigeon for news. Oh, it's fascinating.
or information and intimidation on election officials, or the kidnapping plot against
Also fascinating. Which side has been engaging in intimidation tactics against election officials?
the sitting governor, or an attempted assassination on Donald Trump.
Again, which side made that plot to kidnap the governor? Believe is Governor Whitmore? Come on.
There's no place in America for this kind of violence, or for any violence ever. Period. No exceptions. We can't allow this violence to be normalized. You know, the political record in this country has gotten very heated.
Bro's trying so hard to read that teleprompter.
It's time to cool it down. We all have a responsibility to do that. Yes, we have deeply felt strong disagreements.
No, the responsibility lies on the party. The responsibility lies on the party inciting this. As you keep sending bombs to Gaza via Israel.
The stakes in this election are enormously high. I've said it many times that the choice in this election we make in this election is going to shape the future of America and the world for decades to come. I believe that with all my soul. I know that millions of my fellow Americans believe it as well. And some have a different view as to the direction our country should take. Disagreement is inevitable in American democracy. It's part of human nature. But politics must never be a literal battlefield, and God forbid, a killing field. I believe politics ought to be an arena for peaceful debate, to pursue justice, to make decisions guided by the Declaration of Independence and our Constitution. We stand for an America, not of extremism and fury, but of decency and grace.
But who, man? Violence is never okay unless it's politicians ruining their citizens' lives with austerity and cuts and attacks on welfare, domestic lyrics, genocidal warfare in Gaza, and warfare abroad. Yep. Very good. Very true.
The time of testing as the election approaches. And the higher the stakes, the more fervent the passions become. This places an added burden on each of us to ensure that no matter how strong our convictions, we must never descend into violence. The Republican convention will start tomorrow. I have no doubt they'll criticize my record and offer their own vision for this country. I'll be traveling this week making the case for our record and the vision, my vision of the country, our vision. I'll continue to speak out strongly for our democracy, stand up for our Constitution and the rule of law, to call for action at the ballot box, no violence on our streets. That's how democracy should work. We debate and disagree. We compare and contrast the character of the candidates, the records, the issues, the agenda, the vision for America. But in America, we resolve our differences at the battle box.
What did this man just say? Did he say battle box? War crime presidents condemning violence is just weird. Battle bots?
We compare and contrast the character of the candidates, the records, the issues, the agenda, the vision for America. But in America, we resolve our differences at the battle box. You know, that's how we do it.
Bro said battle box.
The battle box, not with bullets. The power to change America should always rest in the hands of the people, not in the hands of a would-be assassin.
Wait. That doesn't happen, dude.
You know, the path forward through competing visions of the campaign should always be resolved peacefully, not through acts of violence. You know, we're blessed to live in the greatest country on earth, and I believe that with every soul, every power of my being. So tonight, I'm asking every American to recommit, to make America, think about it. What's made America so special? Here in America, everyone must be treated with dignity and respect.
Was bro about to say make America great again? Oh man, was he trying to say "Make America Great Again"? Because that would be the freaking cherry on top. Okay, that would be the freaking cherry on top. Okay, he was. Oh my god, think about it. Oh man. Yeah, he was trying to say make America bestest again. Make America goodest again. There you go.
Respect. And hate must have no safe harbor. Here in America, we need to get out of our silos where we only listen to those with whom we agree, where misinformation is rampant, where foreign actors fan the flames of our division to shape the outcomes consistent with their interests, not ours. Let's remember, here in America, while unity is the most elusive of all goals right now, nothing is more important for us now than standing together. We can do this. You know, from the beginning, our founders understood the power of passion. And so they created a democracy that gave reason and balance a chance to prevail over brute force. That's the American we must be. An American democracy where arguments are made in good faith.
Yeah.
American democracy where the rule of law is
Again, there's one side that's not doing that, and it can't be. Hey, Progressive B, how's it going? More gooder. Biden is wish MAGA. Make America goodest again, Jack.
respected. An American democracy where decency, dignity, fair play aren't just quaint notions, but living, breathing realities. We owe that to those who come before us, to those who gave their lives for this country. We owe that to ourselves. We owe it to our children and our grandchildren. Look, let's never lose sight of who we are. Let's remember we are the United States of America. There is nothing beyond our capacity when we do it together. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops.
Good to see you. Been a minute. Work is nuts. Well, thank you. I appreciate you stopping by. I appreciate you hanging out.
Hello everyone, hope you're all having a wonderful Sunday. I decided to make a video today as opposed to waiting to tomorrow because there's a lot that I now want to say. Didn't make a video yesterday when we got the news that Trump was nearly assassinated because I just felt like there wasn't really anything to add. We also didn't have a lot of information about what had happened and why it happened. And today we still don't have
we still don't know, quite frankly.
that much information. But we are learning more about the shooter, and it's a pretty perplexing situation. The individual who tried to assassinate Trump was a registered Republican, but in 2021, he made a $15 donation on the day of Biden's inauguration to a Democratic-aligned super PAC. He was a fan of a GunTube YouTube channel, was wearing merch when he carried out the attempted assassination. So, there's also reports about him being a loner when he was in high school, being bullied. He had explosive devices in his vehicle. So it's really hard to...
Yeah, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility to think that this dude was thinking in his head that he was going to accelerate something. I don't know what that something is. I guess more information will have to come forth. Maybe he was trying to accelerate or trying to spark a civil war. I don't know. Maybe he thought in his head taking out Trump would be the necessary green light for Republicans to start taking out Democratic leadership. I don't know. I don't know what was going in this guy's mind. But it sounds to me like he wanted to do some sort of accelerationist. He wanted to accelerate something. Biden lost a chunk that put him over the edge, that put him over for 2016. This is depressing, or 2020, I should say. Well, yeah. I don't recognize the country I serve because I grew up naive in a right-wing family. Well, glad you're here with us now.
To say what this is, he doesn't meet like the typical profile. So in terms of motive, we really don't know. We also found out he was in a BlackRock commercial, which is very strange. So it's a very weird situation, and I don't necessarily want to speculate or give you additional details that may turn out to be incorrect. What I will say is just kind of like take what you're hearing with a grain of salt,
right?
Because there's a lot of information that gets out there that turns out to be false, and
there's a ton of misinformation.
People kind of have a vested interest in getting clicks, and that kind of comes at the expense of being accurate. So we really don't know at this point. But with that being said, yeah, it was a very, very significant thing that happened. Trump was nearly assassinated, and almost immediately after it happened, the dumb takes started rolling in. Case in point.
Joe Biden told his donors that it's time to put Trump in a bullseye. Well, guess what? That is exactly what someone did today with their rifle as they attempted to assassinate President Trump.
Yeah, of course. And by the way, these are the people that need to turn the temperature down, by the way. These are the people Joe Brandon is telling to turn the temperature down.
The rhetoric from the left has escalated to this moment. Just last week, we saw Joe Biden trying to excuse his poor performance at the debate and get that behind him and say, now we need to put Trump in a bullseye.
Now, aside from Marjorie Greene and Lauren Boebert, Congressman Mike Collins tweeted out that Biden did this, which is so bizarre to me because...
Right, because... if he did, it wouldn't matter.
Because they use very hyperbolic rhetoric all the time when talking about their opposition. There's also been some people trying to blame the media for this. And I just feel like it's such a disingenuous thing to say, right? Democrats, when they talk about Donald Trump, I think that what they've said... If you try to say that their criticisms of Trump is tantamount to stochastic terrorism, I think that is extremely, extremely disingenuous. And people who are making that claim, like Ben Shapiro, for example, well, there was a shooter that was a fan of his, but he didn't take responsibility. But if Biden says and Democrats say that Trump is a threat to democracy, well, all of a sudden they're to blame. There's this talk of whether or not Democrats and opponents to Donald Trump have gotten too hyperbolic in their language, saying he's a threat to democracy, and a wannabe dictator.
But that's not hyperbolic, though. And the difference is the implication is that you want to block him from getting power, right? The implication there is you want him to be not elected, right? The difference is when Republicans make these hyperbolic statements, they do it with the intent and with the knowledge that the message is received. Case in point being Donald Trump inciting the insurrection on January 6th. He didn't say go do an insurrection. He never said those words. But when you talk like you have to fight for your country, and they've stolen everything from you, what people, especially those cult members, are going to receive the message. Yeah, the left is the violent side, the ones asking to tone down the genocide and civilians running around with automatic weapons. Yep. He said, Biden, I'll be right behind you. Right.
I just feel like that's such a weird thing to say because the truth matters. And factually speaking, Donald Trump, he's a threat to democracy. He incited an insurrection. You can't just say, oh, well, you have to stop being truthful about Donald Trump because of this thing that happened. I think that's absolute nonsense. The truth matters. You know, if Donald Trump didn't want people to be fearful that he would be a dictator, he could quell those concerns. He could say, listen, of course I'm not going to be a dictator. Of course I'll accept the results of the election. Of course I'm against violence. But Trump is not doing that. In fact, when there was an attempted assassination of Nancy Pelosi, here's what Donald Trump had to say about that.
Together we will take on the ultra-left-wing liars, losers, creeps, perverts, and freaks who are devouring the future of this state like a swarm of locusts.
Yeah, so what do you say to that? Like, you understand that the people listening to this, they received the message, right? The degenerates are like bugs that are destroying the country. You know what to do. Does that make sense?
And we'll stand up to crazy Nancy Pelosi who ruined San Francisco. How's her husband doing, by the way? Anybody know? And she's against building a wall at our border, even though she has a wall around her house, which obviously didn't do a very good job.
So walls don't work? Question mark? What?
This brilliant device keeps your home cool in summer, even during heat waves and power outages. It's smaller than a lunchbox cool.
I can assure you that device will not keep your house cool, okay? That'll keep you cool, not your house.
Situation today, in large part because of Donald Trump. Political violence is much more common because this is the environment that Donald Trump and his ilk has cultivated. You know,
right, and now there's surprise Pikachu face. The chickens came home to roost, and it was on them.
You had Trump Jr. also. He posted, I think, really close after it happened. You know, this is my Halloween costume, and it was a hammer and underwear. You know, referencing Paul Pelosi. So, you know, when something like this happens to Democrats, immediately they blame Democrats. They call them irresponsible. But they don't actually, you know, look at the way that their rhetoric has kind of fanned the flames, right? It's very gross. It's very disingenuous. You have individuals like Tom Cotton, J.D. Vance saying, hey, we all just need to bring the temperature down, after previously saying, you know, the president should use the military to violently crush protests. It's so fucking nauseating to see that. Now, Democrats have responded by doing what they're expected to do. They're largely condemning this, saying let's bring down the temperature. Joe Biden has chosen to suspend campaign ads.
Right, but like, the people who need to be taking down the temperature is the conservatives. That's who needs to take down the temperature.
He called Donald Trump. He's doing, you know, the responsible thing to actually try to bring down the temperature. Having said that, though, what he's doing is trying to equate the assassin with campus protests. And I say that because, you know, rather than attacking Trump, there are reports that Biden is trying to instead focus on how all violence is bad by talking about how he came out against violence on college campuses. The irony there is that, you know, the Free Palestine campus protests, they were explicitly against violence. They were largely peaceful. But the underlying argument that they were making is that violence is bad. But Biden is going to use that example to draw an equivalence with the assassin to basically say, hey, see, I'm consistent. I condemn all violence. Now, on the subject of condemnations of violence, I've got to say it is fucking mind-blowing to see so many politicians who for the past 10 months have been cheerleading a genocide come out and condemn violence. I'm talking about John Fetterman. I'm talking about Joe Biden. All of a sudden, violence is bad. Unless it's happening abroad. What? Seeing all of these condemnations of violence, you expect it, right? Because that's the important thing. That's the responsible thing that you want to do if you're a Democratic Party politician. But American Congress, like, this is one of the most violent institutions on the planet with the most violent people on the planet, and they're condemning violence.
Well, it's because it's happening within their political class, right? That's why it's a problem for them. They don't care about other people. That is not their concern.
Even say to that? It is so cynical, so despicable. And, putting aside those Democrats, there's other Democrats who have now chosen to unilaterally disarm this election cycle. And they're going to, I guess, unite behind Biden. They're going to stop trying to pressure him to drop out. In other words, just hand the election to Trump because unity? It makes no fucking sense. Now, there's also been conspiracy theories. You have some liberal conspiracy theories who are trying to say that this was a false flag, which is very stupid because somebody literally died at the rally. 2 others were injured. The person who carried out the attempted assassination is dead. It's a real person. So to say that this is a false flag is very Alex Jonesy, and it worries me because over the past week we've seen, in an attempt to defend Biden, some Democratic Party loyalists really deny polls and kind of deny objective reality. And to see conspiracy theories from liberals about this shooting, it's not the best sign, right? Now, they're not the only ones doing conspiracy theories. You have a lot of right-wingers who are posting that this really was divine intervention. God stepped in to save Donald Trump, which is a real fucking interesting thing.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure I know where this is going. So, like, divine intervention, which happened to protect Trump, apparently no divine intervention for the supporters who got killed and injured, right? Justin, freaking welcome. And of course, cat turd.
Thing to say, right? Why didn't God step in to save the Trump supporter that was there? Why didn't God step in to save Nawar al-Awlaki? This is an 8-year-old girl who Trump murdered in Yemen. Why didn't God save her? Why is Trump's life more important than all these other people if it was divine intervention? That doesn't make any fucking sense. Well, it's because this is a cult. And, having divine intervention, I guess that speaks to how, Trump really is not necessarily like a demigod, but he's above everyone else. That's why there's this cult around him. He's so important that God would literally intervene and save him. So I just feel like my brain has rotted over the past couple of days from seeing so many insane takes. People are just so inconsistent, and everybody is going to use this in a way that fits their narrative. And it's just really sickening. In terms of the cold politics of this, how is this going to affect the election? I think that it's logical to assume this is going to help Donald Trump. When Reagan, when there was an attempt against his life, he got a big boost in the polls. Now, that did go away with time, and that kind of makes sense. And I expect the same thing.
Right. The thing is, like, time is what, a couple months from the election? Like, how long is that poll boost going to last? Is it going to last a couple months? Because the election would be right around the corner at that point. Like, what, a month later? Yeah, let's test that theory. Our theories need to be able to be repeated in a scientific setting. Correct. I saw they were saying he was anointed by God because he didn't get shot. Oh, man. Oh, I see. Yeah, spicy. Yeah, the adulterer, the greedy adulterer, fraud is anointed by God.
to happen here. I do expect Trump to get a boost in the polls because whenever something like this happens, you see this, rallying effect where people kind of like swarm to that person. For example, Elon Musk, he tweeted out, "Oh my God, I can't believe this happened. I endorse the president." You see people saying, "Oh my God, I'm really voting for him." So it like shores up support in a way with the people who are supporting him, and then other people, they feel inclined to kind of be quiet, which kind of contributes to the support growing, right? There was an article, I can't remember, I think it was from the New York Intelligencer. I don't know though. But the article was, "We're all MAGA now," right? That is
amazing. I love this headline. Don't forget racist, true. We're all MAGA. No, we're not.
logically going to lead to Donald Trump going up in the polls because he's just viewed as a more sympathetic figure. Will it last? I'm not really sure. But, it's certainly not great for Biden in terms of the election because, he, even if this is a temporary boost for Trump, it's still not great for Biden, who is trying to climb himself out of a ditch. But apparently Democrats have decided we'll just rock with him anyway. Fuck it. Give up on the election, unilaterally disarm because unity. Really weird times that we're living in. On top of that, this is for Trump supporters. They're going to be so much more galvanized now because this could be portrayed as the ultimate underdog story, even though he's not an underdog, right? We're talking about a former president and rich person, but it's an underdog story in the sense that like it's such a perfect narrative, right? After losing the election, it was stolen from him. After he was jailed by Crooked Joe and nearly assassinated, he overcame all the odds and won back the White House just for us. Like, it's almost like a movie script.
Right. And the thing is, like, that's kind of what determines elections, right? Is galvanizing who's going to come out and vote for you.
So, it's beneficial politically to Donald Trump. But, we'll have to wait and see because nobody really knows for sure how this is going to play out. In the short term, it's leading to a lot of real stupid takes, which is very depressing to see, but not surprising because this is America. So the dumbest thing that you expect, like, it's going to be more dumb than that, right? By the way, I'm realizing that I'm wearing a blue shirt with a blue background. So you kind of just see like a floating head, which is actually pretty cool. So yeah, I didn't intend to go with that, but it works out.
Nah, you had to key chroma key yourself out. Then you would literally be a floating head. You can chroma key yourself, select blue, and you would literally just be a floating head.
Let's see. Is there anything else that I want to say about this? Not really. I'll probably say more in a video tomorrow. But listen. At the end of the day, I think that the politicians who are condemning this, that's what you expect from politicians. They want to cool the temperature. But I just wish that there was more consistency here. I just wish that the people who are suddenly against violence were consistent and had that same standard when it comes to Palestinians. But that's a pretty high expectation for an American politician because, again, these people are violent. They are cynical, deeply opportunistic people, so they will say what they think they need to say if it suits whatever narrative they're going for. So, yeah, I don't really know what else to say. Really crazy shit happening. It's never a good sign of a healthy democracy when you start seeing these types of assassination attempts. If you look at any other country, when this happens, usually more violence follows. I'm not necessarily saying that that's going to be the case, but, it's just a very worrying sign. So, who knows what's going to happen, but buckle up because we've still got 4 months left in this election cycle and odds are it's going to get even more crazy. So,
I agree. Less than 4 months at this point. The shooter is interesting in the fact that he was a Republican.
Well, hopefully, people will try to, for the good of the country, be normal and not jump to conclusions and spread misinformation and come up with dumbass conspiracy theories. But that's
a tall order.
Even to like vocalize
that's a tall order, Figueroa.
Hope is so silly because I feel like there's a bigger chance of like seeing pigs fly or seeing a unicorn than seeing Americans react in a normal way to something. So, just we don't have to engage in the dumb fuckery, right? We can choose to be chill, try to relax. This is the beginning of a very long election cycle that is already exhausting. That's going to get more exhausting. So just pace yourselves, my friends, and let's all engage in a little bit of self-love. That sounds really dirty, but what I mean is turn off the internet. Go watch a movie with your family. Go outdoors. I think we all owe that to ourselves because shit's just crazy right now. And if you hyper focus on it, you're only going to hurt your mental health. So I'll stop rambling, and I'll see you all tomorrow when I release another video, probably about this. So, yeah.
True. So you would think that maybe some lessons would be learned here. But no. No lessons learned here. After Trump assassination attempt, guns will still be allowed near the RNC, but tennis balls will not. Inside the FSURB Forum and the immediate security perimeter around the RNC, which kicks off Monday night, guns are not allowed. However, guns will still be allowed immediately outside the convention center in the outer perimeter surrounding the Secret Service-controlled area due to Wisconsin state law. The situation is facing increased scrutiny in the aftermath of the attempted assassination of former President Trump at a rally in Pennsylvania. Due to Wisconsin state law, people will be allowed to openly carry guns and conceal carry with a permit inside the so-called soft perimeter, which surrounds the Secret Service-patrolled inner hard perimeter. City officials tell ABC News they are frustrated following Saturday's developments, but don't expect a change. Cool. A recently passed Milwaukee City ordinance outlines what is banned in the outer perimeter, including tennis balls and paintball guns, but it doesn't cover most firearms and only prohibits weapons already outlawed by the state, including fully automatic guns. Whatever, they can do whatever they want. Yeah, you would think that, this would perhaps cause some self-reflection, but, if dead children didn't do it, this certainly won't. This certainly won't. That means that within walking distance of the RNC convention hall in the soft perimeter, people cannot carry a paintball gun, but can carry an AR-15, which was the same styled rifle that the previous shooter used. It is utterly ridiculous, said Robert Bowman, a Milwaukee alderman who proposed adding guns to that city ordinance. I mean, I could just picture this image of somebody coming up to the entry point, with an AR strapped to over one shoulder, a long rifle over another, and 2 pistols in his belt, and the cops asking him, "You got any tennis balls?" Anyways, I thought that was bemusing. They lack the capacity for self-reflection. Yeah. Otherwise, the whole grift falls apart. That's true. Quote, this event is designed as a national special security event, which is the highest level of security for an event that can be designated by the government. So this is a whole of government approach. We've had extensive planning to include many organizations. Ooh, I hear lots of thunder outside. All right, folks, shifting gears. As soon as we know more information, any updates, we'll definitely talk about it. But man, it's gonna be a long 4 months. I agree with Figueroa.
Speaking of the stakes in November, let's turn to the Ohio Senate race. Again, we've said that every candidate in what we considered to be a potential close race 6 months ago is getting these attack ads or getting attacked on these lines. And now we're also seeing that with candidates who may not have been considered even on the cusp or even close to being on the cusp 6 months ago, in terms of the way that Joe Biden is dragging down other people on the Democratic ballot in November. Here is Ohio Senate candidate Bernie Moreno. He's a bit of a lunatic, isn't he? What was his? There was a couple of things that Moreno had an issue.
Well, you remember the Associated Press reported that he had a alternate screen name or something like that.
Yes.
Or online account for a gay dating.
A gay dating app, which
he blamed an intern
from his parents' house, and he blamed an intern. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
He's from Ohio, and apparently his intern went down to Florida, very close to where Moreno's parents lived, and created a fake dating profile on, was it on a Grindr type of situation?
A gay dating app, yeah.
I mean, that's the detail that makes it so much funnier is you go next to his parents' house.
Exactly.
I mean that's you have to go over the top for the bit. If you want the prank to land, you got to go all out.
Listen, and this is a side tip. I just want to say, if you're ever interning somewhere, there's nothing more that your boss will like. And incidentally, I think that.
Yeah, true. Things that interns do. Love Emma, me too.
This guy still works for him or did for a while. There's nothing your boss likes more than a good prank. But like Emma says, you got to go all out. So it's not one thing like you're in Ohio. I'm going to set up
gay.
You're gay. And I'm going to set up a gay profile for you. It's, joking around the office. But you really, to carry it out, just in case anybody starts to investigate it, you want to fly down to Florida, set it up, get back on a plane. So you say, for instance, you could say to your boss, hey, what kind of coffee do you want? I'm going to go out and get you a coffee. Well, thank you. You're a great intern. You got it. And then you get into an airplane, fly down to Florida. You fly back. Make sure you get the coffee on the way back.
Leave the funny paper trail.
Right.
What took you so long? There was a long line at the coffee place. Sorry, boss. Don't worry about it. The thing I like about you, you make me laugh. Anyways, here is Bernie Moreno trying to do a prank on himself. Here he talks about the absolute need for Democrats to have the courage to address tough questions. Stop dodging, says Bernie Moreno.
Amazing.
I can tell you this, if I'm here, I will talk to you at any point in time, even take tough questions. Sherrod Brown won't do that. And again, that should tell you some things. And again, didn't we see that with Biden? They kept him in a cocoon. They kept him in the basement, refused to take questions. Even the White House has said the press conference today is the big boy press conference. Think about that for a second. That's insane. If you can't come out here and address the media and talk to reporters and give your position and be unequivocal and clear, you have no business being in elected office. And I think that's what generationally we got to get rid of, is these guys that hide behind staff, hide behind their offices, Zoom from one meeting to another so that they're not accountable. Those days have got to be over.
Sir, didn't you just blame your intern? Didn't you literally just hide behind your intern? Amazing.
Over. You need people that are clear and transparent, tell people where they stand. And sometimes, by the way, it means that you're going to be controversial and you're going to say something that maybe not everybody agrees on, but that's what you owe your voters.
Pause it. I want to say, I really appreciate that, because it takes a lot of guts to do what he's saying. And that is what we need. We need politicians who are willing to answer the tough questions.
And not hide behind their staff. That's what he said.
Don't hide behind their staff. Don't hide by anything. You're out there in front of the press. You answer the questions. And he's the type of guy who's going to answer the questions. Just go back a little bit so we can hear that last part.
Yeah. Yeah, accountability for thee, not for me. Irma is the best. I agree.
That was really inspiring to me.
From one meeting to another so that they're not accountable, those days have got to be over. You need people that are clear and transparent, tell people where they stand. And sometimes, by the way, it means that you're going to be controversial and you're going to say something that maybe not everybody agrees on, but that's what you owe your voters.
You said earlier this week that you support some restrictions on abortions after 15 weeks. Do you think that that contradicts what the party's new platform and new position is on this issue overall?
Look, we're not here to talk about abortion. My position is crystal.
Oh man, I love it. I love it. And people just completely don't care. They're completely fine with this. This makes total sense.
Clear has not changed. You're going to see the Democrats pull out everything they've got to try to change the subject. Let me just restate this again. You have somebody at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue that is incapable, does not have the mental
That
acumen
is
to complete his.
unbelievable. That is unbelievable.
Whoopsie.
Hey, what happened?
What happened?
That should be the ad. They just run.
Can we go back a little, Sam? Because the thunder that you played was extremely thunderous, and I want people to get a sense of his actual full response here. Is that all right?
It's amazing. He's just bragged about how he's not going to dodge questions, and he gets the first question he gets.
He dodges. Yeah.
Overall.
Look, we're not here to talk about abortion. My position.
Wait, let's get the tail end of that. Yeah. Back a healthy amount.
Not everybody agrees on, but that's what you owe your voters.
You said earlier this week that you support some restrictions on abortions after 15 weeks. Do you think that that contradicts what the party's new platform and new position is on this issue overall?
Look, we're not here to talk about abortion. My position is crystal clear, has not changed on abortion. You're going to see the Democrats pull out everything they've got to try to change the subject. Let me just restate this again. You have somebody at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue that is incapable.
All right. It was jargon. Amazing. That pivot.
I got to think.
It's very lucky that this guy has government quality health care, because man, the pivot that he did is incredible. Is incredible. I hope his hips are okay. I mean, if I ever tried to pivot that hard, I think my hips and my back would be killing me for a week.
I think that he's like yelling at his advisors afterwards, or he's just like, God, I blew that one.
Because just to also give context, that he's supposedly for this media scrum outside Sherrod Brown's office.
Yes.
To make the case that like he's not here, disclosing things to the media, talking to the media, and then he outside the senator's office is not really talking.
I mean, and in the last polling for Sherrod Brown, he's running against, who really can withstand seemingly any election. Sherrod Brown's up +6, +5 the one before, +8 before that. Even with all the anti-Biden stuff, this is part of Bernie Moreno is exactly what some of the Democrats deployed with some of the other elections, where he's one of the more MAGA Trumpy lunatic guys, and that actually has good effect when you're faced up against a Democrat.
Yeah, this is I don't know how much he was one of the people that they put an ad out saying he's too conservative for Ohio.
I think so. I think that's true if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, like Elvis Presley.
Hey folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do.
Oh man, somebody forgot the little things on the left there. Matt, Bradley, which one of you forgot? Anyways. Amazing. So just at this point hours ago, a couple hours ago, I want to say, Donald Trump has selected his vice president, and it's going to be none other than this guy.
But I also think, that there's something comparable, between abortion and slavery, and that, but I also think, that there's...
Yeah. Trump picks Senator J.D. Vance as his VP during the RNC. Former President Trump has chosen Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio as his running mate on Monday, picking a one-time critic who became a loyal ally and is now the first millennial to join a party. We don't claim him, by the way. Join a major party ticket at a time of deep concern about the advanced age of America's political leaders. Hey, some real quick quotes from J.D. Vance. Right, it's interesting since he talked ish about Trump some time ago. Yeah, let's revisit some of those classics. Quote, might be America's Hitler. Unquote. Another quote, might be a cynical a-hole. Cultural heroin. Noxious and reprehensible. Amazing. After lengthy deliberation and thought, and considering the tremendous talents of many others, I have decided that the best person suited to assume the position of vice president is Senator J.D. Vance of the great state of Ohio, Trump said on a post in Truth Social as their RNC got underway in Milwaukee. Shortly after the announcement, J.D. Vance arrived on the floor of the RNC for his formal nomination, walking out to Merle Haggard's America First. Oof. The 39-year-old Vance rose to national fame with the 2016 publication of his memoir, Hillbilly Elegy. He was elected to the Senate in 2022 and has become one of the staunchest champions of the former president's Make America Great Again agenda, particularly on trade, foreign policy, and immigration. Yeah, so he's a fascist. But he's largely untested in national politics and is joining the Trump ticket at an extraordinary moment in American history. An attempted assassination of Trump at a rally on Saturday has shaken the campaign, bringing new attention to the nation's coarse political rhetoric and reinforcing the importance of those who are one heartbeat away from the president. Vance himself faced criticisms in the wake of the shooting for a post on X that suggested President Biden was to blame for the violence. Of course. Quote, the central premise of the Biden campaign is that Donald Trump is an authoritarian fascist who must be stopped at all costs. That rhetoric led directly to President Trump's attempted assassination. No, that's nonsense. That's nonsense because, like, you can say that somebody is an authoritarian fascist and also have different ways of dealing with this, right? Because we still have options versus when you talk about the other side, you completely dehumanize them and you basically give one solution. That's the difference between how the right handles their rhetoric. The right makes it so that the cult members understand the assignment, and the only course to dealing with the existential threat of the nation is violence. I think he's noxious and is leading the white working class to a very dark place. Vance, whew, phenomenal. No wonder Fox cut that part out. No wonder Fox News didn't complete that quote because that feels important. Thank you. Yeah, stop by being outvoted. Law enforcement has not yet specified a motivation for the shooting. The pick is sure to energize Trump's loyal base. Vance has become a fixture on the conservative media circuit and frequently spars with reporters on Capitol Hill, helping establish him as the kind of leader who could carry Trump's mantle into the future, beginning with the next presidential election in 2028. But the pick also means that two white men will now lead the Republican ticket at a time when Trump has sought to make inroads with black and Latino voters. Did you expect the Republican Party to do anything different? I'm sorry. Like, I don't understand. New game, Bernie or Vance? Fellow Christians, everyone is watching us when we apologize for this man. Lord help us. Amazing. In his post announcing his pick, Trump said that Vance will strongly be focused on the people who fought so brilliantly for the American worker and farmers in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, Minnesota, and far beyond. Several of those Midwestern states are expected to play a critical role in November's election. But Vance also has another advantage, his chemistry with Trump. Personal relationships are extremely important to the former president, and he... that's one way of putting it, right? In other words, people who are incredibly and unequivocally loyal to him are extremely important to former President Trump, and he and Vance have developed a strong rapport, speaking on the phone regularly. Trump has also complimented Vance on Vance's look, saying he reminded me of young Abraham Lincoln. Sure, dude. Trump and Vance spoke about 20 minutes before the Truth Social post, and Trump formally offered him the job, according to a person familiar with the call, who, like others, requested anonymity to share the private conversation. Trump had said he had long said he wanted to dramatically reveal his pick on stage at the convention, which said would make it more interesting and exciting. The timing is later than in recent cycles, but hardly unprecedented. In 1980, Ronald Reagan made his decision less than 24 hours before he formally accepted the GOP nomination, and George H.W. Bush waited until his convention in 1988. Biden's re-election campaign issued a statement calling out Vance for saying that he had been vice president. He would have allowed multiple slates of electors to challenge Biden's victory over Trump 4 years ago. Trump repeatedly promoted falsehoods about election fraud before and after January 6th, when insurrectionists loyal to the former president stormed the Capitol to try to stop the certification of his loss. Quote, Donald Trump picked J.D. Vance as his running mate because J.D. Vance will do what Mike Pence wouldn't on January 6th. Bend over backwards to enable Trump and his extreme MAGA agenda, even if it means breaking the law no matter what the harm is to the American people, said Biden campaign chair Jen O'Malley Dillon in the statement. Florida Senator Marco Rubio, North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, and the other contenders on Trump's shortlist have been informed earlier that they were not his pick, according to people familiar with the conversation. Conversations in the last 10 days between Rubio and Trump's campaign had focused on concerns about the fact that both men reside in Florida, according to a person familiar with the private talks, who insisted on anonymity to discuss them. The Trump campaign wanted to be 100% sure that there would be not a protracted legal battle over the issue, and Rubio is unwilling to uproot his family. Trump had spent months testing the field, assessing how his contenders performed on television and fundraisers on rally stages, including Burgum and Vance joined him at criminal hush money trial in New York. There are others at the debate. Others were at the debate last month, where Biden's disastrous performance upended his campaign, leading to a widespread call for him to step aside in favor of a younger candidate. In Hillbilly Elegy, Vance detailed life in Appalachian communities drifted from a Democratic Party many residents found disconnected from their daily travails. While the book was a bestseller, it was also criticized for sometimes oversimplifying rural life and ignoring the role of racism in modern politics. No surprise there. The relationship between Vance and Trump has been symbiotic. Vance's fame grew in tandem with Trump's unlikely rise from a reality television star to Republican presidential nominee and eventual president. During the early stages of Trump's political career, Vance cast him as a total fraud, a moral disaster, and America's Hitler. But like many Republicans who sought relevance in the Trump era, Vance eventually bent the knee. He said he was proved wrong by Trump's performance in office and evolved into one of his most steadfast defenders. Amazing. Man. Quote, I didn't think he was going to be a good president. He was a great president and is one of the reasons why I'm working so hard to make sure he gets a second term. Vance was rewarded for his ass kissing during a bid for the open Senate in 2022, during which he landed Trump's coveted endorsement and rode it to victory in a crowded Republican primary and a general election hard fought by Democrats. He is close to Trump's son, Donald Jr. Listen, I've seen him on TV, Donald Jr. said of Vance, speaking to CNN from the convention floor. I've seen him prosecute the case against the Democrats. No one's more articulate than that. And I think his story, his background really help us in a lot of places that you're going to need from the Electoral College standpoint. Vance is now a Trump loyalist who has challenged the legitimacy of criminal prosecutions and civil verdicts against him and questioned the results of the 2020 election, which is key. Right? In fact, he wouldn't be even considered if he didn't believe that or pretended to believe that. It doesn't really matter. He told ABC News in February that if he had been vice president on January 6th, that he would have told the states where Trump disputed Biden wins that we need to have multiple slate of electors, and I think U.S. Congress should have fought it over from there and effectively overruled democracy. Like, man, that's amazing. Amazing. Quote, that is the legitimate way to deal with an election that a lot of folks, including me, think had a lot of problems. No. I don't know who a lot of folks are, and it quite frankly doesn't matter because at the end of the day, you have to come with receipts, and no receipts were provided. You're just making it up for the sake of getting your guy in. Many states adopted emergency measures 4 years ago that allowed people to vote safely for the COVID pandemic, but judges, election officials in both parties, and Trump's own attorney general have concluded that there was no evidence of widespread voter fraud in the 2020 election. Right. So I guess you can think all you want, but the reality is that there was no significant evidence that there was massive fraud across the board to the degree that it would change the outcomes of the election. Right? It just didn't happen. Kamikazion with the tier 1 sub. Thank you so much. 4 months. I appreciate that. Vance is a yes man, so it makes sense that Trump would choose him. Yep. Thank you. I appreciate the support. If Trump wins, Vance will preside over the certification of January 2020. Yes. Yes, he would. Yes, he would. And I think that's kind of a key, right? That's important that they have somebody like JD Vance. So that just happened a couple of hours ago. Man, turbulent times ahead, folks. Turbulent times ahead. I don't doubt it, unfortunately. I mean, this is what we're dealing with, folks. I don't doubt it, unfortunately. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's something we're going to have to contend with. Almost 300,000 people are still without power 1 week after Hurricane Beryl ripped through Texas. 1 week, folks. This is the privatization of the grid. Hundreds of thousands of people in southeastern Texas are still without power 1 week after Hurricane Beryl caused devastation in its path throughout the state. Some 288,000 energy customers were in the dark on Monday morning, according to PowerOutage.us, leaving many without air conditioning as persistent heat waves bring temperatures of up to 93 degrees. More than 119 million were under extreme heat warnings on Monday, with the National Weather Service forecasting temperatures of 100 degrees or higher in the Mid-Atlantic and Southeast. CenterPoint Energy, the main electric supplier in the greater Houston area, says it has reconnected almost 2 million people, about 90% of those affected since Beryl brought down scores of power lines and brought trees crashing into homes. Governor Abbott used a news conference on Sunday to demand the company explain how it is improving its hurricane preparation plan before the end of the month. Yeah, it's a private entity, dude. You guys made this bed. You guys made the scenario like this. So, yeah. The failure of the power companies to provide power to their customers is completely unacceptable. If only there was a thing that government can do, man. If only there was a job for government. He said, adding that while the state's first priority is to preserve life, the lack of power was a life-based issue. If it's so important to life, which it is, man, if only. Abbott said CenterPoint had until July 31st to provide his office with specific actions to address power outages and reduce possibility of power that will be lost during a severe weather event. This includes details on how vegetation will be removed that threaten power lines. Failure to do so could result in an executive order geared to keep the power on. Or I don't know, like maybe we shouldn't be at the whims of a private company who may or may not do the things that they claim that they're going to do to weatherize their infrastructure because it costs money. Maybe this is a grade A example as to why companies like this shouldn't exist. Why it should be nationalized. All right, folks, we got two more things. I just noticed that this video came out, so we're gonna watch this one after we finish this this article here. Florida judge that was appointed by Trump dismisses the Trump classified documents case. The Florida judge overseeing Trump's classified document trial dismissed the case against the former president on Monday today on the grounds that the appointment of and funding for the special counsel was illegal. U.S. District Judge Eileen Cannon, Trump a nominee, said her 93-page decision that Smith's appointment was unlawful and unconditional. The clerk is directed to close this case. I have a question. So, you mean to tell me that there's no possible way that her being a Trump appointee and her refusing to step down, okay, or recusing herself, because this is a very obvious conflict of interest. You mean to tell me that there's nothing wrong with this picture? Yeah, we're a banana republic. You mean to tell me that the person who appointed her has absolutely no no benefit to just happen to just coincidentally be in front of that same judge and not get a favorable treatment. I mean, it just seems absurd. It just seems absurd. The decision came on the first day of the RNC and following an assassination attempt on the former president over the weekend. Trump praised the ruling in a statement that referenced Saturday's shooting and said other criminal cases should be tossed as well. A source who spoke directly with the former president said that he was surprised but very happy with Canada's decision. The Hell Knight, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. The White House spokesperson referred inquiries on the Trump classified documents case being dismissed to the Department of Justice. The Justice Department, the Special Counsel's Office, and Trump campaign did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Attorney General Merrick Garland appointed Smith as special counsel in November of 2022, tasking him with overseeing the federal investigations into Trump's handling and retention of classified documents after he left, as well as his efforts to overturn the presidential election results. So, yeah, I wonder if this is going to have any ramifications in other cases. I don't know. They seem pretty separate. But yeah, it's pretty disturbing that a judge that a president can appoint, can just simply dismiss a case in which this very same president is standing before her. So yeah, cool. Must be nice, I guess. Must be nice to have the same judge you put in that position rule on your case. All right, this one's just fresh off the presses, folks. Fresh off the post button. And I think it's relevant to the discussion earlier.
So much has already changed in the aftermath of the assassination attempt against Donald Trump, and that moment has proven to be pivotal in this election cycle for a number of reasons. He's getting sympathetic responses from both Democrats and Republicans. Biden has chosen to suspend campaign ads against Donald Trump, and on top of that, the media is giving him fawning coverage in the aftermath of that assassination attempt. Now, putting that aside, we learned today that Judge Eileen Cannon, a judge who Trump appointed, by the way, dismissed the documents case against him entirely. And he's going into the convention this week with his supporters more galvanized than ever after he announced J.D. Vance as his running mate, who is for sure going to be much more loyal in carrying out the MAGA agenda than Mike Pence ever was. Now, on top of that, he's grown his lead against Biden in nearly every single swing state.
Yeah, and make no mistake, Mike Pence is a horrible, despicable ghoul. So that tells you all you need to know.
And odds are, post-assassination attempt polls are going to look even better for Donald Trump. But that's not all, because the events over the weekend have essentially locked things in place on the Democratic Party side, meaning that Trump is almost certainly going to be facing the weakest opponent possible, and that's Joe Biden. Now, I say this because the opposition to Joe Biden within the Democratic Party has collectively chosen to surrender in the aftermath of this Trump assassination attempt.
Amazing.
And they're saying that it's just not the right time to be pursuing the ouster of Biden or trying to get him to drop out, when really we should be bringing down the temperature of the country.
What does that have to do with anything? Like, I'm sorry. This is so bewildering to me. What is making sure you win the election, which is like quite obviously your only one freaking job, right? What does that have to do with bringing the temperature down? I'm completely confused.
Axios reports, quote, "We're all just focused on expressing condolences and keeping our team safe," said one House Democrat who has been fiercely critical of Biden. A senior House Democrat suggested the post-shooting atmosphere in the party is too chaotic for internal battles over leadership. Another Democrat said it would be unpatriotic and unprincipled to direct energy to anything other than yesterday's national tragedy over the coming days.
My brethren in Christ, you have an election less than 4 months from now that you are currently losing on paper. Amazing.
The only conversation about President Biden should be about how he can console our country, address the anger, and meet the moment. Another
Great. He can do that, and also in that same vein, step down.
Another Biden skeptical Democrat asked about lingering questions around the president's candidacy told Axios, "I don't think that's the focus right now." So that assassination attempt really did change things for Democrats, because now they don't want to focus on infighting and Joe Biden. They want to focus on, making sure that Americans and their staffers all feel better about this really volatile climate that we're in. And I understand the sentiment in the aftermath of this weekend, of course, but that doesn't change the underlying fact that there's an election to be won against a fascist who does pose an existential threat to American democracy. And if Biden stays on the ticket, he is almost certainly going to lose. So the question is, do you just give up all of a sudden and accept defeat because of what happened? The answer apparently is yes. Axios continues, quote,
"Amazing.
Most lawmakers who spoke to Axios said it is too early to say whether the cessation intentions will last until the Democratic National Convention next."
What? Again, the election is less than 4 months away.
Next month, but the second senior House Democrat offered one reason for why it might. Quote, "We've all resigned ourselves to a second Trump presidency." Wow. So they're just giving up and accepting a Trump victory in November, I guess. In other words, the fate of American democracy has been sealed. It's over. All because weak, pathetic Democrats don't feel like it's the right time to pressure Biden to drop out for the good of the country. Let me remind you, this is a senior Democrat who's saying this, who's saying we've all just pretty much accepted it's over and Trump's going to win. Now, I kind of already got the sense that this was where they were at, but you're not supposed to say that out loud because other elected Democrats need to think that they're constantly fighting Republicans in order to get us to send them our money. So Democrats admitting this kind of pissed off other Democrats, AOC being one of them, who tweeted, "If you're a senior Democrat that feels this way, you should absolutely retire and make space for true leadership that refuses to resign themselves to fascism. This kind of leadership is functionally useless to the American people. Retire." Yeah, except here's the problem. You're calling on the wrong person to retire. Don't get me wrong, I think it's absolutely pathetic that a senior Democrat is unilaterally disarming and just saying, fuck it, Trump's going to win, so I'm giving up. But the reason why that person is giving up in part is because of people like you, AOC. You've tried to shut down the conversation about Biden needing to drop out. But, she's not alone, though, because other progressives like Bernie Sanders have been doing the same. Bernie Sanders wrote an entire op-ed in the New York Times defending Joe Biden, insisting that he should remain the Democratic Party's nominee. Now, part of the reason why
I'm currently filling out the mail-in ballot, and that line got me hard.
Progressives have reportedly come to Biden's defense is because he has promised them policy concessions if he gets a second term.
Yeah, here's a question. Why would you send money to a party that has essentially effectively resigned to the opposition winning, right? So like effectively what they're saying is we're done. Why would I support that party? What is the motivation for me to be like, yeah, I guess I could vote for these people? I'm just curious.
Such as expanding Medicare and
I'm just curious what the plan is here.
abolishing medical debt, which all sounds great. And while I appreciate progressives' hyper-focus on policy, there's a couple of reasons why they're making a miscalculation here. First of all, Biden didn't follow through on so many of the promises that he made the first time he ran. He ran on a public option. Remember that? He said fuck all about the public option after he won. So I just don't trust him. Second of all, even if I believed that he supported these policies, the problem is he's not willing to abolish the filibuster to pass these policies. But most importantly, he can't pass any of these policies if he loses the fucking election to Donald Trump. That's the biggest thing here, which is highly likely if he stays in the race. But it's especially gross to see progressives bend over backwards to bail out a president who is complicit with a literal genocide. All they have to do is sit back and zip their lips. Let the centrist Democrats do the work for them to get Biden out. But instead, they're trying to stop the people who want to win from replacing Biden. It is so infuriating to see this. Now, with that being said, if Bernie Sanders and AOC got a real concrete concession immediately from Biden, I could understand why they would do something like this, why they would stick their necks on the line for Joe Biden. If Bernie Sanders, for example, told Biden, look, you want me to write this op-ed? I need a concession right now, immediately. I need you to withdraw all weapons from Israel until they stop their genocide. If you do that, then I'm going to write this op-ed. Then I'm going to try to bail you out. Because that is a realistic concession that Biden can deliver to them right now. But that didn't happen. In fact, they got no concessions with regard to Gaza, even if Biden were to win a second term. Biden just sent Israel 500-pound bombs. So instead, progressives settled for future broken promises. It's just... It's laughable because, look, I agree with Bernie Sanders and AOC on almost every single policy issue, but goddamn, are their political instincts dog shit. Now, here's the thing. Democrats aren't just begrudgingly resigned to a Trump presidency despite the threat that he poses to democracy.
The squad ain't squat.
Some of them, they just don't give a shit. They don't actually care if Trump wins. And I say this because Tim Miller shared a transcript from a recent episode of his Bulwark podcast where he interviewed Ezra Klein of the New York Times. And Ezra Klein confirmed before the Axios report that top Democrats were already resigned to a Trump presidency even before the assassination attempt. But this transcript confirms something even more alarming. And I'm going to play the audio of the transcript that you're seeing right now.
You don't know how the party can replace him. You don't want to be blamed for any of this. You just stay quiet and walk the calm path to defeat. I think it is clear, like, people are like weighing this set of things. Like, it would be quite unpleasant for me personally to come out against the president.
Cool. You know, real life implications of what happens, real life implications of a Republican win. Furthermore, a Republican House potentially, sorry, not a House, a Republican Senate potentially, Republican presidency potentially, and a Republican House. Yeah, so... You know, it must be nice to not be affected by the ramifications of what that means. But yeah. What a bunch of cowardly losers, seriously.
As a elected official in the Democratic Party, and weighing what will happen if Donald Trump wins and saying, in a revealed preference way, I can live with Donald Trump winning. And I've had people say that to me off the record, to be fair. I've had...
Ah, yes, the fighters we've all been hoping for. Yeah, so you... and I'm talking you as in the political class, the upper echelons of the Democratic leadership may be fine with a Trump presidency because you've got enough resources to do what you need to do to protect yourself, to insulate yourself. We don't.
Really? I have had top Democrats say to me basically something like, I don't know why all these Democrats who think Donald Trump is an existential threat to democracy are acting the way they are. But the reason I'm acting the way I am is because I don't think that.
Who the fuck is this? Who are these people? Out your sources, Ezra. I'm about to be in leaking text mode over here myself. Like, that is crazy. That's great. Why? I guess it's consistent, but it's maddening. No?
I find it maddening, but I do find it consistent.
So top Democrats are admitting behind the scenes that they've been lying to us this whole time. They actually don't think that Trump is an existential threat to democracy. So that's why some of them aren't acting.
I mean, it shows, right? It kind of shows. It kind of shows. It really does.
With the urgency that you would expect, right, to replace Biden to beat Trump. But the reason why they say that is because they're going to be okay if Trump is elected. Trump is an existential threat to democracy, but that doesn't really change their lives significantly. They're rich. Nothing Trump could do would really hurt them as much as it would hurt us, be it Project 2025, cutting Social Security, Medicare, banning gay marriages, or
All right, folks, my power just went out, as you can see. Oh, wait, there it goes. Well, yeah, so, so I still have enough power. I still have enough power to finish the stream. So let's just finish it, and it is what it is. Oh, man. Yeah, a slightly shorter stream. I mean, we almost made it to the 2 hours. I think we still have enough juice. We've got enough to power through this. There's a backup. There's a backup power, keeping the internet going, and we'll just do it there. Oh, hold on. Left flanks are left flank vets. All right, we'll go over there in just a moment. I think we're good. Hold on, I think we're back. Hello. Are we back? Good. Yeah, we hear you. Okay, good. But where's my camera? My camera and my light are my camera and my light are kind of acting weird. Hold on. We hear you? Okay. I mean, if it's not, you know. Oh, I think I know why. I might have to restart some of the stuff over there, but that's okay. We'll continue it this way. We'll continue it this way. It is what it is. I'll fix it by tomorrow.
Trans healthcare, they're going to be fine. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're okay with a Trump victory. Perhaps they still don't want him to win. But this mentality right here, where it's like, I'm fine either way, that explains why they're willing to throw in the towel so quickly. They're not fighting like everything is at stake because they don't believe that everything is at stake. Now, to put into perspective how bad the situation is for Biden in particular, a YouGov poll conducted on the 12th shows him losing in every single swing state, including Rust Belt states like Michigan and Wisconsin, that he's banking on for a path to 270. But here's what's even more astonishing about this poll. In the same poll, Democrats competing in Senate races are absolutely crushing their Republican opponents, which is more of an indication that Biden is the problem. Now, on top of that, a poll conducted by the New York Times and Siena College finds that a majority of Democrats and independents in Virginia and a majority of independents in Pennsylvania all want Biden to drop out. Now, Democrats in Pennsylvania are basically split, with a slight plurality leaning towards Biden staying in the race. So this problem is not going to go away. Joe Biden is the problem, and him staying in the race for self-serving reasons damns all of us to a second Trump term. Democrats know this, Republicans know this, but apparently some Democrats have chosen to just give up and seal our fate. It's spineless, but it's so unsurprising, you know. So the situation is bleak, but there is still hope, believe it or not. Politico reports, quote, former Speaker Nancy Pelosi, convinced Biden will lose, has been working the phone since June 27th in hopes of finding a way to ease him off the ticket. One of her colleagues was struck to see her chatting furtively but openly with minority
Mama Bear trying to save democracy.
Leader Hakeem Jeffries last week in a corner of the House Democratic cloakroom in plain sight of a dozen lawmakers. The extent of Pelosi's behind-the-scenes role hasn't been fully revealed and may never be if the former speaker has her way. But I'm told by people familiar with the exchanges that she stage-managed phone calls to Jeffries, plotted strategy with the biggest names in Democratic politics, and told one former elected official bluntly that Biden's legacy can't be destroying their party. So I really never thought that I'd say this, but our only hope at this point is Nancy Pelosi. Literally. She's working behind the scenes to get Democrats to come to their senses.
That's wild. Mama Crypt Keeper, she needs to go away. True.
And stop Biden from handing Trump a second term. Now, the caveat is that reports about her doing all of this came before the Trump assassination attempt. So we don't know if she, like other Democrats, stopped working behind the scenes following the events from the weekend, but odds are she's more clear-eyed than all the other Democrats, because remember, this is somebody who also experienced something that Trump experienced. Somebody showed up to her house to assassinate her, but her husband was there and he was beaten with a hammer instead. So Trump wasted no time making fun of her and her husband after that happened. So she might be one of the few Democrats who uniquely thinks it's not unpatriotic to continue to pressure Joe Biden to drop out. She might be one of the only Democrats who understands that this changes nothing politically speaking.
Correct. Progressive B gifting a tier 1 sub. Thank you. Another tier 1 and another tier 1. Holy yikes. Thank you so much. I appreciate the support. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Trump is still a threat and he can't win this election. She knows the threat that Trump poses, and she's actually still trying to do something about it, presumably. So I never thought that I would say this, but I'm rooting for Nancy Pelosi. Godspeed, Queen. If you can pull this off, Nancy, you might literally save American democracy. So,
and another
go Nancy
one.
Pelosi. Whoever thought that in 2024?
Thank you so much. Thank you for the biddies. I appreciate that.
Those words would be coming out of my fucking mouth. What a time to be alive, folks. Holy shit.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
Oh, man. Well, oh yeah, I forgot the camera's not working. Okay. Well, in that note, thank you all for joining. I appreciate it. I'll just stick here on the end screen. Thank you all for joining. I appreciate it. Thank you, Heat. Thank you, Michael Hasser, for modding the chat. I appreciate it. Thank you, Progressive B. Thank you for the gifted subs. Thank you, Kamikazion, for the sub. Thank you, Heat, for the biddies. I appreciate it. Progressive B with another biddies. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You take care. Thank you. We did make it. We did make it. Look at that. Bye-bye. Thank you. That's right. Everyone take care. I appreciate it. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. All right. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.